I just learned of a cemetery near Lucky, Louisiana that may not be properly documented. We're going to go take a look and see what's there, see if we can find it even.
Lucky was once a flag station on the Louisiana and Northwest Railroad. I'm wondering if this cemetery could be from the railroad era, or could it be older? The only information I was given was a GPS coordinate, so I don't know what I'll find, if anything. This is 6 Mile Road. It certainly is a pretty drive through the country. For the last 120 years or so, timber has been the main industry in this region. Before that, cotton was the main cash crop. According to the GPS, we're getting close. Look at that gorgeous old oak tree to the left. Wow.
The first thing that I normally look at when searching for an old plantation or cemetery are the trees in the area. Now, most of the trees around here are young pine trees, but this tree right here, this white oak tree, it's something special because it is old. Now, we're going to determine the approximate age of this tree by a simple formula. Now, remember sitting in algebra class thinking you'd never use algebra? Well, we will today.
The first thing I need to do is get the circumference of this tree. To get this, I need to take a measurement at around chest level. Remember that I'm just looking for an approximation of this tree's age.
All right, we are at 120 inches. 120 inches. What we'll do is take 120 inches, divide it by pi, and multiply it by our growth rate factor. So we had 120 divided by pi. That is, see, I'm using my calculator here. All right. And we're going to take that number and multiply it by the growth rate factor. In this case, it's 5 times 5. So this tree looks to be just over 191 years old. 191 years old. That means this tree was from 1832. Based on the GPS coordinates my friend sent me, the cemetery should be right in the middle of this mess.
Before heading out, I looked and found that on current maps there's a definite clearing where I'm standing.
There's only one way to find out. Let's go. Well, I've crisscrossed this field and I haven't seen any sign of a headstone yet. Well, I've still not found any sign of a headstone. The only thing I found that looked man-made was a cable. Now, we're going to take a look at our GPS and see if there are any other open spots around here that could be a cemetery. Let's get out of this mess.
This is a map of our current location. To the left or west of us, there's another open spot. Am I looking in the wrong place? Could the cemetery be there?
I took an aerial view of this location and I found another spot which intrigues me. There's an open spot a little ways up this road. We're going to take a look and maybe it's there. Should have worn a hat. Wow, see there's an old oak tree right there. Maybe we're getting in the right. There it is. That's what I'm looking for. Wow. Wow. Dora and Blume. Get over here where we can see these.
According to Louisiana laws, this would be considered an abandoned cemetery. An abandoned cemetery is one which is no longer being used for interments, is not being maintained, and has fallen into a state of disrepair. Cemeteries such as the Blume Cemetery give us clues about the past. All we can gather by looking at the headstones are their names and dates of birth and death. Who were they and why were they laid to rest in this particular spot? John Blume was born in Barnwell, South Carolina in 1818. His wife, Rebecca, was born 2 years earlier. Sometime between 1850 and 1853, John, Rebecca, and their 7 children traveled by wagon from South Carolina to an area just northwest of what is now Lucky, Louisiana. By modern roads, this trip is about 760 miles. It's hard to imagine riding nearly 800 miles in a wagon with 7 children. I wonder how many times the children asked, "Are we there yet?" John Blume sold his land in South Carolina and moved his family to Louisiana to take advantage of the cheap land that the federal government offered for sale. John purchased a large tract of land on 8 Mile Creek to grow cotton. The water from 8 Mile Creek ran the family's mill, symbolized on this map by a water wheel. Normally in this era, planters would have had numerous slaves to work a cotton plantation of this size, but I could find no record of John being a slave owner. From the moment I first saw this cemetery, this headstone stood out from the others. It looked as if it didn't belong. It looked too modern or maybe too clean in comparison to the others.
Of the 15 headstones in this cemetery, 14 are marble, which could be expected from this era. Marble headstones are porous, prone to cracking, chipping, and weather poorly. Rebecca Blume's bluish-gray headstone stands out because of its color, and it looks like it was placed here just a few years ago. These stones are called white bronze monuments, but they're actually made of zinc. The Monumental Bronze Company from Bridgeport, Connecticut manufactured most, if not all, of monuments of this type. The company expanded rapidly after the Civil War and closed down during the Great Depression. Sales of white bronze monuments peaked in about 1888. Although many of these white bronze or zinc monuments are around about 100 years old, most of them are in much better shape than the marble ones of the same time period. This is partially due to the durability of zinc. Now you can tap on this, you can hear it's metal. You can see the seam running down there. Right here, right down here, you can see Monumental Bronze Company, Bridgeport, Connecticut.
J.L. Hargrove, the agent for the Monumental Bronze Company, began advertising these headstones in the Shreveport Times daily beginning in February of 1884. Rebecca Blume died in March of 1884. This type of headstone was advertised as endorsed by scientists as being practically indestructible and better and cheaper than any stone. The advertisement said to send off for price list. I was unable to locate an advertisement for the Monumental Bronze Company in any other local newspaper of the era, which means that the Blume family most likely read the Shreveport Times. I found a copy of their catalog from 2 years before Rebecca's death. I flipped through several pages until I saw on page 69 the model selected for Rebecca's headstone, Model 187. In 1882, the price for Rebecca's headstone was $65. Adjusted for inflation, $65 in 1882 had the same buying power of about $1,891 would today.
As you can tell, it's been years since this cemetery was weed-eated. Is it weed-eated or weed-ate? Anyway, it's been years since it's been taken care of, been maintained.
As part of the documentation process, I'm taking photos of each grave. In addition to making the state aware of this cemetery, I'll share this information on findagrave.com so people interested in the Blume family can see the headstones without having to trek through the woods. The fence around the cemetery is much newer than the cemetery itself. I wonder if there are more graves outside the cemetery that may have been overlooked when the fence was built.
There's an old cedar tree right there. Another old cedar. The reason I'm pointing out cedar trees is they're kind of slow growing as compared to the pine trees. So if you look for the old cedar trees, you have a better chance of getting an idea of the time frame we're looking at. And of course, we saw from the graves, we're looking at 1880s when most of them died, it appeared.
I'm also going to take a look around and see if there's any evidence of a church building or any other type of structure in the area.
It's interesting to also point out the walk-in gate is over there, but there's a bigger gate right here. Cleaned out spot. More old oak trees. Now it looks like, what is that right there? Oh, somebody threw a bed mattress out. There's another old cedar tree. What I'm doing now is just looking around to see if you can see anything made out of stone. The church from the 1880s, if not kept up, would be long gone. There's a clearing up here. It's a little four-wheeler trail. Probably a hunting trail.
I was unable to find anything else that looked like it was man-made out here other than this four-wheeler trail.
Right.
So we're going to head back to the cemetery.
That's as far. What is that? A holly tree. Another little clearing spot.
So why was the cemetery placed here? The purple lines on this modern map show where wagon roads were in the 1860s. The Blume Cemetery is located in between two wagon roads just south of an intersection. It's symbolized on this map by a black pin. The blue shaded area is where the Blume family cultivated their cotton. Their unimproved land that was not being used to grow crops, was probably much larger and may have included the land where the cemetery is located. The cemetery would have been located near or on their land so the family could pay their respects as often as they liked.
But I have something else before you go. I have something else I want to show you. I should have worn a hat. Should have worn a hat. Earlier I mentioned that 6 Mile Creek ran through John Blume's property. This is 6 Mile Creek. It is absolutely gorgeous. I can definitely see what attracted John Blume to this property. It's absolutely gorgeous. This is living. You don't see this in the big city, do you? John Blume's mill would have been in this direction. One day soon, I'm going to try to locate it. But until then, I'm just going to sit here and relax and enjoy the scenery. Thank you for watching. I'm Brad Dison. I'll see you next time.